Oh, there's a lot of things we like about the group home. For one thing, it gives Jennifer a chance to be as full a person as she possibly can. The amount of activities at night, the work programs during the day, the off weekends and the weekends with activities, it's such a good, well-rounded program for Jennifer. And it keeps her going when she wants to be and not going when she doesn't want to be.
The one thing that I love about the group home for Jenny is that all of her friends are there. And in fact, we got in last night to be with Jenny for the weekend, and she was too busy to spend time with us. She said, "I'll see you in the morning," because they had a card tournament going on. They play Uno. So Jenny, of course, still loves us, but she does have a life, and we love that about Beverly Farm, that Jenny has found her own individual life as her sisters did when they left our home. So I don't know what Jenny would do without Beverly Farm, because she has become quite the individual living here.
I think they have a really good family atmosphere in the group homes. The way they're set up with the rooms and the dining room, and they all have dinner together and breakfast together. And so I think they kind of try to incorporate a family setting a little bit into there, and I think that's really important.
Jenny was 18 when she moved here. Just about 19. 19?
She's
19. Just turned 19. She turned 19 in December and she returned January.
It was a very difficult decision for us because we really felt like Jenny was probably too young. And we weren't really quite ready to let her go, but when we found Beverly Farm, we were so excited about the program that they offered that we were afraid not to take advantage of the opening that they had for Jenny. And we weren't sure when they would have another opening. So as a family, we talked about it, and we were concerned that if we passed this opportunity up, it could be years. Some places it takes a while to get in. So we decided to go ahead and give it our best shot. So that's why she was so young. And I think the first 6 months was difficult for everybody, but after that, we could just see her blossoming. And I think we all agreed that it was the best thing we ever did for her. I would say, as the mother of 3 teenage daughters, it was pretty crazy in our house. And everybody had the twins had just graduated from high school, and Sarah had gone to college, and Jessica was thinking of moving out. And so when we made that decision that Jenny would move to Beverly Farm, we talked about it as a very natural thing for her, that's what everybody does. They leave their mom and dad, and they go to their own apartments, and they get jobs. And so Jenny was actually pretty excited about having this new life in her own home and her own job. It was difficult because we weren't as close as we wished we would be, but we stayed in contact, especially through the telephone, but we made sure that every 3 months we were together, either bringing Jenny home to us or we would come here to visit her. But it was, I think, an easier transition for Jennifer than it was for us. It left a huge hole in our family, but for her, she was very excited to get started with her new life and her new friends and her new job, and she did an excellent job at doing that.
I think, too, when Jenny was younger, the natural inclination for Sean and I was that she was always going to live with us, that we were always going to take care of her, and she would always be in our house and close by. As she got older, and as the other kids got older, we realized that Jenny wasn't much different than Sarah or Jessica from the standpoint of they're getting older, they're getting more mature, they need to have their own life. And what kind of life would it be for Jenny to be living in our home after school, after high school? There's no more programs for her, so she would be at home, sitting around doing what? What was her life going to be? And the more we checked out places like Beverly Farm and looked around, we realized that Jenny really needed her own life. So that became more important to us than saying, okay, we've got to have her near to make sure she's secure and cared for. We're very comfortable with the level of care and the level of security here at Beverly Farm. And it has really allowed Jenny to grow from this person to this person. And she would have never experienced that living at home in a real controlled environment.
Well, It's wonderful. As a mother and a father whose children grow up and start their own lives, then we can begin to start our own life again too. It's been wonderful, but it's wonderful to watch all of my children start their own lives and develop and form relationships and have new jobs. So I think it's been important for all of us to do that, and it's really been incredible to watch what Jennifer has learned to do. And I think if she would have still been living with us, well, I know for sure that she would not have developed into the person that she is. The day Jenny left my home, I was bathing her. The week after she moved to Beverly Farms, she was bathing herself. And that's the kind of thing that they really taught Jennifer how to do, to become independent and do things for herself, whereas a mother of a handicapped child, I thought I needed to do that. And it's just been incredible to watch her become a mature adult in many ways, and able to take care of herself. So it's been fun. It's been fun to have her own life and do the things that we like to do and travel and not have concerns about any of our children because they have started their own lives. We did find that Jenny was very tired every morning and not able to get up and go to work. And what I think the staff tries to do is allow them to be very independent adults. But as we talked with them and worked with them, which is a great thing with the staff, they really listen to the families or the guardians. We decided that maybe Jenny needed a little more restrictive environment and that she needed encouragement to be in bed at a certain time instead of because she wasn't an adult making the best decisions. So they have been wonderful to help her make better decisions. So she is on a very nice schedule, and they do remind her at a certain time that she does need to go to bed so she can get up. So she is in bed at 9:30 every night so she can get up and go to work. And she loves her job. She works at the Developmental Training Center, and she does a task of putting silverware into a plastic bag with salt and pepper. And she loves that job, and they've given her many opportunities to do other jobs, but that's the one she likes. So she gets to continue to do that. And that's been wonderful for her. And she works with a group of people that also do the same job, but there's a staff there that oversees that and keeps them going on their job. And it's wonderful to watch her. She walks in and puts on her jacket and a stocking cap on or a net on her hair and has her own locker, and she's very capable of doing all of that, which the first year we came to visit her and see her work, we couldn't believe it. And many times I'll say, Jenny can't do that. I'll say that on the phone. Oh, yes, she can. She's been doing that for a year. It's just incredible what she has learned to do because of the staff here at Beverly Farm encouraging her and teaching her.
Trying to get her to keep from spending her whole paycheck every time she gets her paycheck, so on pop. So but she loves to get her paycheck, and I think that's a normal reaction from anybody that's grown up and in the working world now. You know, you want to feel like you're part of something, that you're working as part of a group, that even in some way you're part of a bigger society type of thing. And I think Jenny feels all that. She feels very comfortable in this environment, and it's a group of her peers, and she excels very well at that. What I like about Beverly Farm, if I'm going to keep it short, because there are so many things here that are worthwhile and that do Jennifer and all the other residents a lot of good. But the two things that stand out to me, number one, Jennifer has become such a larger, bigger person than my wife and I ever thought she could be. From the way she goes about her life, to her working life, to her activities, her social life, her friendships, and all of those dynamics that we look for in well-adjusted children of ours, we believe wholeheartedly Jennifer is in the proper place, and this has been a phenomenal experience for her. Secondly, as a parent, I worry about what happens when I'm no longer able to take care of Jennifer. And to a great degree, a lot of that has been alleviated because of Beverly Farm. Beverly Farm has been here over 100 years, and it sure looks like it's going to be here another 100 or more. And Jennifer will be taken care of when Sean and I are no longer here and able to do that. My other daughters will serve as the guardians when Sean and I are not able, and Jenny will have a good long life here. We're sure of that.
I think my overall thing about Beverly Farm is that it's like a little community, and I think Jenny really thrives in that. She has her job that she goes to, just like me, and she has her friends that she comes home to at night. They have meals together. They're able to go to the rec center and do all the programs that they love to do. They have bingo and puppet ministries, and they can swim and do all that type of stuff on their off hours, just as anybody else would. And then the weekends are always full of stuff to do, or not, if they choose not to do so. I mean, there's always that relaxation time. And then Sunday she goes to church, which is off campus, but it's something that she really likes to do, and she did with our family growing up. So I think that's a really good thing that they enable her to do, provide transportation to go to one of the local churches, and then Monday she starts her week over again. So I really do think it's very similar to what I do on a weekly basis, just in a different setting. So that's probably my favorite thing about it, is that she just lives life the way everybody else does.
My favorite thing about Beverly Farm is that it has given Jenny joy. Jennifer is probably the most joyful person I know, and it's given her opportunities to be the queen of everything. That's what we call her, the queen of everything. She won, they put a crown on her head on Valentine's Day, and she was the queen. And she called us and said, "Mom, I need you to sit down because I'm the queen of everything." And Beverly Farm gives her that opportunity to be the queen of everything. And it's hard, I think, for someone who is mentally disabled to be the queen of anything in our world. And Beverly Farm has offered that for Jenny. I think it's interesting. I was worried about the day that Jenny would not call my home her home. But in the same sense, it gave us a great sense of satisfaction that she was happy with where she lived. And so it is funny because we have to keep our visits to about 3 days because she needs to go home to Beverly Farm. And this is her home. And we do try to keep a place in our house that is her bedroom, and so she has a place to be. But this Beverly Farm is truly Jenny's home. But I would recommend Beverly Farm to all families to evaluate if you can allow your child to, or your adult child to go live in an environment that is safe and where growth happens, and allow yourself to step back and watch that instead of worry about how you're going to miss your child, and how I think the feelings were more about us maybe than about Jenny. Once we knew she was safe, it was really all about us, and we had to learn how to adjust and change our life to not have Jenny in it. And so it was a very selfish feeling that I wanted my child with me until I saw how she changed. So I would encourage everyone who is in a position like we were to let their child go, is to look at the growth and the maturing that happens here at Beverly Farm.
I would agree with Sean 100%. If you're struggling with that, talk to people that have done this and that have succeeded in this, and get their input. The other thing is, if you try it for a year or even 2 years and it doesn't seem to fit for your particular situation, you can always change back and do something different.
When I'm thinking about the empty nest syndrome as your children leave, it's sort of magnetized by 10 times, because I think of a parent of a handicapped child, they become part of who you are, and it's like you're cutting off your right arm in a sense. And I think that to me was the hardest thing as a mother, letting my child go.
When we brought Jennifer here, we drove from Colorado, and it was about a 13-hour drive. And it was a very somber drive all the way from Colorado to here, and it was almost an impossible drive on the way home with myself and my 2 daughters and my wife crying all the way home. And it was gut-wrenching. It was gut-wrenching. And we would call every day, Jenny, how you doing? Talk to the staff, how's Jenny doing? And then I remember the first time we came to visit, it was shortly after Jenny was here, maybe a month and a half. We were moving her from one group home to another, and I was leaving and I was driving away, and Jenny was out on the front porch of the group home waving, and I was waving, and she wouldn't go in, and I didn't want to drive too fast until she was in, and I just kept driving, and finally she disappeared out of my sight. I called Sean, and I think she was on the phone talking to the group home when I called, and Sean called me back and said, well, I talked to Jenny, and she said, she wanted to go inside, but you wouldn't drive off, and so she stayed out there waving. So I think it was very emotional for all of us. And I'm not discounting the fact that it wasn't for Jenny. I'm sure it was for Jenny, too, in her own way. I'm sure there was a lot of uneasiness. She didn't understand it. But I think over time, all of that went away, and we started focusing on Jenny's life and her future and where she was going. But I can tell you still today, we come here, Sean and I will look at each other at some points during the weekend here and say, we still can't believe we did this. We still can't believe we deserted our child, so to speak, or not so to speak. We can't believe how well she's doing and how wonderful she is in enjoying life. And so all those emotions they keep happening all over. And every time we leave, we still have that same emotion. Gosh, what am I doing leaving my child here? What am I doing? And then, everything's okay. So we still run the full gamut of those emotions.
I think people need to take a chance. Parents of special needs people, it's difficult when you are raising them that your whole life seems to be focused around them. And you try very hard to keep a normal family life. But my main focus in my life was Jennifer. And when Jennifer left and came to Beverly Farm, I had no focus. And I know what people are talking about when they say empty nest, but I felt like it was multiplied. And I had to learn to live my life without Jenny. And Jenny had to learn to live her life without me. And I think my biggest fear when we left Jenny here is I said, who is going to tuck my child in tonight? And that was really scary. And, Jenny's like her sisters. Nobody needs to tuck Jenny in. She calls us, she says goodnight, she loves us, and she gets herself to bed like any adult would. But that was my biggest fear, is who's going to tuck my baby in tonight? And look at her today. She's amazing. She is just an amazing, grown-up adult woman. And that's what Beverly Farm did for our daughter.
But to answer that question a little bit, too, the staff tucked her in, for a while. And Jenny has this wonderful relationship with the staff at Group Home 3. Every time I'm here, or even just talking to the staff, how's Jenny doing? Fine. We all got Jenny hugs today. And, Jenny will be the first one to come up and give you a big hug, and she'll knock you over with that hug sometimes. So the staff is very loving and very caring. And we have 2 or 3 staff here that are so consistent. They've been around Jenny, maybe more than that, probably 8 or 10 that have been around Jenny since she's been here. So that kind of love, that kind of attention, it's marvelous. It's been marvelous for me.